Hey babes, I'm back doing another Britishisms video. Um, so I'm just gonna dive straight in. This is the rest of my list from last week, I think now. So we finished off with the term "not my cup of tea," meaning just not to my liking. It's not what you want, which was very British. This next one is "spend a penny," which means go to the loo. Again, it's not something many young people necessarily would use because it stems from back when specifically women's toilets, public toilets, you had to use a penny to unlock them. Now it'd be more like, gonna go spend 70p because they're getting increasingly expensive, public toilets. But you might still hear that term, maybe in the older generations. We have the term chav, which is like one of the cliques kind of thing. It's like an antisocial youth, and they tend to wear like tracksuits and Nike trainers with practically really short hairstyles, like the men anyway. We tend to call them chavs. There are lots of kind of, not quite rumours, but lots of theories as to how we got the term chav. One of which being it stands for council house adult vermin. It's basically just white trash. It's not a nice term. Can't really think of what your equivalent would be to a chav, but that's what we have. Now, this next one is the term fanny. Now again, you guys use it to mean your bum, your bottom, but for us it's another female part. So please, because you call them fanny packs, and we used, they were called, at least for kids anyway, they were bum bags. So you can see it there, but don't talk about fannies really. It's it's different. We use the term plonk, meaning cheap wine. It's like the really cheap stuff. The stuff me and my family drink, for instance. We drink cheap plonk. We use... God, I think my voice went weird then. Anyway. We use the term sad, not necessarily to mean being sad, the emotion, but to mean something's unfortunate. I'm trying to think of an example. Be like, oh, my car broke down, and you might go, oh, that's sad. And it isn't sarcastic, but it's it's friendly. It's friendly and informal, and you're just saying, that's a shame, that's unfortunate that's happened. That's sad. And that is something I do use quite a lot. So again, they're kind of, negative things, but just have ever so slight different meaning. We use squiffy in two different ways. So use it to mean something's off centre, it's a bit skewy, it's a bit wonky. But we also use it to mean we're tipsy. After a glass or two of wine, you might feel a bit squiffy. Just that ever so slight numbness. A little bit giddy, but you're not drunk. We've got the term waffle as well, which means to kind of talk at length in a trivial way. I'm kind of waffling on a bit here. I might waffle on a bit on these videos. Just ramble on. I think you guys use waffle to mean you can't make up your mind. It's kind of similar in that, but it's kind of in the way you're talking, you're rambling on, you waffle on. Which I might kind of use. I don't know whether you guys use this It was just something I heard in a YouTube video I was watching a minute ago, and it just kind of realised it's perfectly normal to me. But using like saying you're getting cold, like you're really cold or you're getting hot, when you're like playing like hide and seek and stuff, because like my parents used to hide these little like ornament eggs that my gran had. I used to hide them around the room for me, like my grandpa used to do it, and I'd search around the room and they'd tell me if I was getting hot or cold depending on where I was. So hot meaning I was getting closer to the thing I was searching for, and colder meaning I was getting away. And you know, you kind of go, and to kind of tell someone it's right in front of you, you're gonna go, you're scalding hot, you're on fire, you're so hot. And then when they're like then when you're like as far away as you possibly can be, you say like you're an ice cube, you're frozen, you're so far. I don't know whether you use that. I just thought I'd put it out there because I quite like that, and it was just like kind of reminds me of being a little kid and stuff. A couple little thoughts were kind of something was raised about my last video. Someone mentioned how apparently I said that my voice was going, and she said that that was a really nice example of the differences between our languages, because they would say losing my voice, which we also use, but probably more for a severe, you're actually losing your voice because you're ill, rather than just your voice has croaked a bit. Which my voice seems to be doing all the time on these videos. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm actually nervous. So yeah, you know, my voice is going. But going along that, when your voice is croaked, in like, I don't know if you use this, I haven't bothered trying to research it, but like, you know when your voice suddenly like changes again, specific, you know, like probably when you're ill, but we use this when you were a kid, like your voice will just suddenly change and it'll be constantly croaky for quite a while, rather than just like the odd word. And we call it having a frog in your throat. You know, like as if it's the frogs like croaking through, which I think is probably kind of scary as a child, but you kind of, I think when you kind of start understanding it, it's kind of cute. I think the first time you hear it must be a bit of a panic, like when you eat an apple and you swallow one of the seeds, and one of your parents tells you that means a tree's going to grow up and come out your ear or something. It's a bit worrying at first until you realise it's a joke. See, I'm waffling on. Now another thing that was brought up is because I get, as well as having the odd one of you comment on my video, a lot of my friends, presumably also the only viewers of this video at the moment, I'd like to think eventually kind of more people will watch it, but hey, if I'm like YouTube famous in a few years and people are coming back to watch this video, my friends on Facebook, my American friends, they'll like point out Britishisms to me. So now I'm gonna like, when they point them out to me, I'll mention them in my next video, so you can kind of understand what it is. So I put something on Facebook earlier about watching a lorry struggle to get up my drive's hilarious, and they asked what a lorry was, and she said that she imagines it's a cute little baby porcupine, which I prefer that idea. It's really not exciting. A lorry is a truck. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's just, I know it seems quite childish, but it's a truck. Yeah, kind of almost wish I didn't tell you, because it's kind of like ruined the magic a little bit. One thing I found was on BuzzFeed, they put up a few like kind of British words that Americans should use more often. So I've got a few of them here. So the term balls up means like it's messed up. You've ballsed it up. You've fucked it up basically. On the piss is to go out specifically to get drunk. You know, you're going out to get pissed. You know, that's your intention of the night, to pretty much not remember the night. To be gobby is to be like a loudmouth and probably quite offensive with it. which also kind of links into like, you know, you're right, gobshite. You know, again, someone who's offensive because of how much of a loudmouth they are. Todger is a penis. An arse is bum, and also, you know, like, total arse is an insult. Bollocks, which I think I've mentioned before, is like, it's a bad thing, but BuzzFeed used it to mean specific, like, poor quality. Legless is to be very drunk, to be pissed. Knackered we've mentioned previously. Miffed, I quite like this word. I don't use it as much as I would like to. I guess I don't always have I try not to be in a situation where it gets used, to be honest. Miffed means to be upset or offended. Possibly a little bit like narked, which I mentioned in the previous video. You know, miffed, I think it kind of, without lightening a mood, because obviously if you're miffed you don't want people making light of what's happening, but it's a nice little word. Plunk, we mentioned it just a minute ago. Rumpy pumpy is sex. To fall arse over tits is to literally fall over. Apparently, according to BuzzFeed, you would use fall head over heels. I mean, we'd be more inclined to use head over heels to mean you've fallen in love with. I mean, I suppose you'd say you've fallen arse over tits for a guy, but I personally, falling head over heels generally means you've fallen in love with someone, whereas falling arse over tits means you've fallen over. If someone's fit, then they're attractive. If someone's minted, then that means they're like really rich. So everyone wants to be minted. And there's one here which I've never really heard of, but I quite like it. Collywobbles. Just like to have an upset stomach and be nervous. Like an upset stomach due to nervousness and stuff like that. But I've never really heard of it. So I don't know. Collywobbles. Quite like it. It sounds quite old. Like old fashioned, a bit like spend a penny. So, but yeah, they're just a few I found. I'm just having a quick check. I don't know if I mentioned chinwag and natter, which is to like talk, a little bit like to waffle on. You chinwag and natter is like to have a gossip, which is, you know, very much, you know, something. When people think about like old women from the north, that's all they can kind of picture. Then the villagers having a natter, having a gossip. But yeah, I think that's kind of everything I've got for the time being. So I'm hoping these are useful, and I'm hoping you're quite enjoying it. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite liking, and then like looking at some of the slang in my own language, because I don't know. I'm starting to realise how much of it I know, but how little of it I use. I don't really use legless, but if someone said it, I'd know exactly what they meant, even though I don't think I've ever used it in my life. But, you know, but, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. God, this seems to be like my word of this video. Anyway, I'm gonna say goodnight, and I'll catch you next time. See you later, guys. Bye.